It looks like Kaz Racing has officially selected their driver that they will use in the NASCAR Cup Series for their select races that they will run. And it looks like Tony Stewart also is a little bit frustrated with NASCAR. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We've got a lot of NASCAR news to discuss here today on the channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start off with the paint scheme analysis that took place. Let's take a first look at Daniel Hemrick's 2021 Poppy Bank scheme that he will use in the races. They will run that scheme in 2021. I really like the scheme. It looks really, really cool. The colors pop really, really well. And I think the scheme looks very, very good as well. And it was also announced earlier today about Rafa Sard, and we got to see his Canic scheme they will use for 2021. And I have to say that this scheme also looks really, really good, and it's really cool that Rafa Sard is going to run full-time. I don't know how many races Canic is going to be sponsored Rafa Sard. Maybe it will be the whole year for all we know, but I do like the scheme a lot, and I think it's going to be a really good scheme to see out on the racetrack in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series in 2021. And now we're going on to the next story of this episode, as it looks like the Xfinity Series Homestead race has officially a title sponsor, and it will be the Contender Boats 300. I like the name very, very well. I think the name looks really, really cool, and that will be the title sponsor for the NASCAR Homestead Xfinity Series race. Again, I think it looks really cool. There's nothing else in between about that, and I think it is a really cool way for them to get a sponsor to start off for the Homestead Xfinity Series race. And now we're going on to the next story of this episode. Is Brandon Govic will be driving part-time with Sam Hunt Racing in the 2021 NASCAR Xfinity Series season, driving the number 26, and his first race will be at Daytona International Speedway. Brandon Govic, I think, is a pretty decent driver. I actually don't really know much about Brandon Govic. He's raced in select starts. He's driven for the 46 car in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I think he has some decent stats to back it up. Again, he'll be running part-time. We already know that Santino Ferrucci is going to be driving a majority of the year at the team. He'll be driving 20 races with Sam Hunt Racing. They didn't give a set number of races that Brandon Govic is going to run. I would assume they're probably going to run the rest of the season. That's Santino Ferrucci is the rest. So probably he's going to run most of the rest of the oval races. And I'm very interested to see what road course races they're going to use for Brandon Govic. But Brandon Govic will be driving part-time for Sam Hunt Racing in 2021. And now we're going on to the next story of this episode. As Max McLaughlin, it looks like he will be returning to Tory Racing, but not in the ARCA East Series. So it actually looks like that he will be driving for the Truck Series, and apparently, possibly, a second Hattori Racing NASCAR Truck Series entry. For those of you who do not know, Max McLaughlin is the son of Mike McLaughlin, who was a very, very promising NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, won a lot of races in his time as well. Max McLaughlin has done very, very well. He actually won an ARCA East race at Watkins Glen, I think, a year ago with this team, and he has performed very well at times with this organization. So I think this is a really cool opportunity for him. I think he absolutely deserves it. Again, his goal is he's going to run mostly on the dirt race tracks like the World of Outlaws and like late models as well. But he will run a few select starts in 2021 with this team. And I think it's really cool that Max McLaughlin is going to run with this team in 2021. And now we're going on to the next story of this episode. And a very surprising announcement as well is that Miguel Paludo is going to be coming out of retirement from NASCAR after not racing since 2013 in the NASCAR Truck Series. He's coming out of retirement to race 3 road course races for Junior Motorsports in 2021. He will drive the 8 car in those 3 select races at the Daytona Road Course, Circuit of the Americas in Mid-Ohio in 2021. Man, this is a very, very big surprise, if you want my honest opinion. Miguel Paludo, last time he raced in NASCAR was all the way back in 2013 in the NASCAR Truck Series when Turner Motorsports was around, A. Scott was around in 2013. Miguel Paludo had a lot of potential and a lot of talent. Over the last couple of years, he's been racing in Brazil and has won quite a few championships. Again, another big reason why Miguel Paludo is being partnered up with this A-team because of the Brandt sponsorship. And Justin Allgaier is sponsored by Brandt, and Kelly Earnhardt is part of the Brandt family. So that's one of the big reasons why Miguel Paludo is getting this really big opportunity. Again, I don't know how Miguel Paludo is going to do in these selectors. I think he's a very good road course racer. We've seen how good he can be on the road courses and the oval as well, don't get me wrong. But I really think the big question is, how well is he going to do? Because, again, there's no practice qualifying for some of these races. Well, there'll be practice qualifying for Daytona Road Course and Circuit of the Americas, but there won't be practice qualifying probably for Mid-Ohio. They did not race last year, but I don't think Mid-Ohio is going to have practice qualifying for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But Man, Miguel Pluto coming back out of retirement. It's been a long time since we've seen Miguel Pluto out on the racetrack. He's been done very, very well in his select starts, and I think that if he can do very well, again, if he's because again, I think Circuit Americas and Daytona road course could be a big advantage for him because of how good he is on road course racetracks, especially in Brazil. So I think Miguel Pluto has a lot of potential to do very well, and I'm definitely excited to see what Miguel Pluto can do with Junior Motorsports in 2021 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in his select starts for that organization. And now we're getting on to the next story of this episode, as Vinnie Miller is going to run at least 3 races with BG McLeod Motorsports in 2021. Vinnie Miller this last season drove, I think, full-time for BG McLeod Motorsports. Has some decent success with his team, but not a ton of success. He will drive at least 3 races with that team in the 99 organization. Again, he is looking at maybe wanting to run up to 10 races, and he's really never not driven full-time in his time in NASCAR. But sponsorship is a really big reason why he's only going to be running at least 3 races right now. Now, he has said himself that he would like to run possibly up to 10 races in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with BG McLeod Motorsports. But it's really cool to hear that Vinnie Miller is at least getting a few starts in his team. I hope that he can at least maybe get a few more starts this. I think 3 starts is a little bit low on the number of starts, if we're going to be honest. But I think it's really cool at least Vinnie Miller is going to keep a ride in NASCAR. I wish he was running full-time because I've seen some good stuff out of Vinnie Miller. But either regardless, it's really, really cool that Vinnie Miller will be running at least a couple starts with a 10 minutes. He's not going to be completely out of NASCAR. I really thought Vinnie Miller was going to be running full-time, but at least he'll be running in a part-time status. And maybe he'll run up to 10 races because he wants to run up 10 races, but I don't know how many races Vinnie Miller is going to run in 2021 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for BG McLeod Motorsports. And now we're getting on to the next story of this episode, as Gracie Trotter is going to be running part-time with Venturini Motorsports in the NASCAR ARCA Series in 2021. She will drive 10 races with the team, which will split the number of rides she has at a team in the number 15 car and the number 25 car. Now, Gracie Trotter, I think she is a very, very talented NASCAR driver at this point. She actually was technically the first winner in the ARCA Series by the name. She won earlier this year in 2020, and she performed very, very well in her season and got her first career win, being only the first female in ARCA and only the second female to win in like the ARCA West, or because technically Hailie Deegan won in the ARCA West, though that was at the time called the KM Pro West. Regardless, I think Gracie Trotter is very, very talented. I think she definitely deserves this. How well do I think she'll do? Again, ARCA West is definitely a lot as competitive as like the ARCA Series, even though the ARCA Series is dead. Let's be truly honest with ourselves. I think Gracie Trotter can perform very well. I hope she does perform very well with this team. I think she could win 1 or maybe 2 races with this team. Again, I think the Venturini is arguably one of the top dogs in the NASCAR ARCA Series. I think she'll perform really well with that team. And congratulations to Gracie Trotter on getting an opportunity with Venturini Motorsports. I think she absolutely 100% deserves this opportunity with Venturini Motorsports, and I cannot wait to see what she will do with them in her select starts in 2021. And now we're getting on to the first of the major stories of this episode, as there will be no safer barriers at the Bristol Dirt Race. You heard that right. Bristol Motor Speedway will be removing the safer barriers for the dirt races at Bristol for the Truck Series and for the late model series and for the NASCAR Cup Series as well. And this has been approved by the University of Nebraska, who was in development of the safer barrier when they developed safer barrier back in 2001 and 2002. I think one of the reasons why they're doing this is because I think they had trouble getting dirt between the metal, and the dirt is supposed to be compact enough that, and it's with the speeds probably being as low as they're probably going to be. I think that's truly one of the reasons why there are going to be no safer barriers at the Bristol Dirt this year. I mean, I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to go. This is something I've never seen. I've watched NASCAR since 2007, and I've never seen a race without safer barriers since I started watching the sport on the outside wall. So it's really, really crazy to think. Even Eldora, for crying out loud, has safer barriers. I believe they have safer barriers. I don't remember if they do or not. But really crazy that Bristol Dirt is not going to have safer barriers. Hopefully, we don't see any crazy injuries. But just a wild thing to see no safer barriers in NASCAR. Just one of the craziest things. I mean, like I said, I've been watching this sport for a long time, and I never thought to the day that we'd see a race without safer barriers. But if the dirt's compact enough and it can get between the wall, I think that should be a good cushion enough. And the speeds being as low as they are, I don't think it's going to be too big of a problem, but a lot of people think the Bristol Dirt Race is going to be a disaster. I'm kind of worried about the race a little bit more as more people complain about it, not going to lie, but I would like to keep my hopes up for that, and hopefully we can not see a disaster for the Bristol Dirt Race in 2021. And now we're going on to the next major story of this episode, as Tony Stewart had an interview recently with Jordan Bianchi from The Athletic, and here's what Tony Stewart basically had to say, and Bob Hockenstein quote tweeted this as well. He said that Tony was frustrated that Bristol got a cup race under it after it showed that a NASCAR race could be done the right way on the Bristol dirt. Now, Tony Stewart, of course, no surprise, was a little bit frustrated. Now, let's keep this in mind that Tony Stewart did not re-sign the contract, but I think there may have been some growing contests after Tony Stewart basically sold, basically formed the SRX. I think that really affected why Tony Stewart, didn't get a return to the Eldora International Speedway for 2021, and he did not renew the contract. That being said, I don't blame Tony Stewart. They've raced Eldora in the NASCAR Truck Series since 2013, but also SMI and the TV contracts, I think, are a major reason why we do have a Bristol Dirt Race. That being said, I definitely understand the frustration for Tony Stewart. Again, he's been putting on really good Truck Series races since 2013. Now, we're not losing the truck race or moving it to Knoxville, but I think Tony Stewart has every right to be a little bit frustrated by NASCAR for not, having a race at his racetrack that he's been owning for a very, very long time and has put on some really good Truck Series races. And I really just wish that this wasn't the case. But unfortunately, just business works, and with SMI and TV basically being involved with NASCAR, basically controlling what happens a lot of times with the schedule. Unfortunately, Eldora lost the race. I wish Eldora would have gotten the cup day. I really wish it did. But it really, really sucks that there isn't going to be a Bristol Dirt Race. Well, there's going to be a Bristol race, but it really isn't going to be an Eldora race. But that being said, I can understand Tony Stewart being a little bit frustrated by it, and I completely understand the frustration for Tony Stewart. And now we're getting on to the final major story of this episode. Kaulig Racing has officially announced the driver that they will have for the NASCAR Cup Series in their number 16 Cup Series car they will drive part-time. And it's not what you thought it was. Originally, we thought it was going to maybe be one of the drivers that is driving for that team, maybe AJ Allmendinger, Jeff Burton, or not Kaz Grala, or Justin Haley. But now we have confirmation that Kaz Grala is going to be driving part-time for the team, and he will attempt the Daytona 500, and he will drive in all the other races that they decide to race. They're looking at running at the Super Speedway races and the road course races. Now, for any of you who do not know, Kaz Grala, I think, is a very, very talented driver. And actually, this past year when Austin Dillon had COVID-19, he actually drove at the Daytona road course, actually ended up leading laps in the race. He led a couple laps before he had to pit, and actually ended up finishing top 10 in that number 3 car. So a lot of people have noticed the potential talent. I think Kaz Grala is a very, very, very talented driver. I was very, very excited to hear the news that Kaz Grala was going to get an opportunity with this organization. Like I said, I think Kaz Grala performed really well in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Again, he does have one Truck Series win back in 2017 at Daytona on a Super Speedway, but he's been very, very good on the road course tracks as well, and also on the short tracks as well in his select starts when he's driven for Richard Schultz Racing, and has put up together some really good performances as well. And I think in 2021, I think that he could definitely make it, because they're going to basically have RCR backing. They're going to be aligned up with RCR, and they're looking at going full-time in 2022. Speaking of which, there actually is a little bit more to the story as well. Kaulig Racing has purchased the RCR building that Germain Racing used, which is an extra building they have because they already have one building that they currently own at the moment. They will have an extra building used, which will give Kaulig additional space as it eyes potential full-time 2022 Cup Series effort. Kaulig Racing is wanting to go full-time in 2022. Now, the big question I have here is, who are they going to end up getting a charter from? Because the charter system is very, very confusing, and it's going to be very, very difficult for an organization like Kaulig Racing to basically get a charter right now completely at the moment. Because, again, the charter system is very, very confusing. There's not going to be any new charters that are going to be added going until there's a new manufacturer coming in, and there is possibility that it might not be until the new engine components come in as well. And there are talks of new manufacturer may be coming in this sport, but those talks may not be starting again because of COVID. I think they've solved, and it's possible we may not be getting new manufacturers until 2023. And NASCAR's not talking about adding any new charters. So for college racing, probably to get a charter, they're going to have to purchase one from a smaller organization or hope a full like a team that's running NASCAR at the moment ends up losing one of their charters because of how slow they are, or they have to hope and pray that a team ends up shutting down. That's basically what is really going to have to happen if college racing is going to want to get a charter. But with Kaz Grala, I think it really absolutely deserves to go full in those select starts of that team. The big question now is that what happens with Justin Haley, because a lot of people thought that Justin Haley was going to drive the 16 for them in 2021 in the Cup Series. Justin Haley, no one should be really worried about. I think he'll be driving a 77 part-time with Spire Motorsports. A lot of people thought that he was going to drive for Spire, and some people also thought maybe drive a 16 and a 77 out points this year. But we now know that Kaz Grala will drive those select starts. I think Kaz Grala will perform pretty well. What are my expectations? I think Kaz Grala is just there to get experience and also try to qualify in the Daytona 500. Again, the Daytona 500 field is going to be really massive this year. There's possibly up to 46 or 47 cars that are going to enter in this year's Daytona 500, but we can't really count anything. I expect it probably to be around 45 cars that are going to enter, which is probably the last time we're going to have a pretty good size field for a Daytona 500 because of the next-gen car upkeeps. Yes, the next-gen car is supposed to be cheaper in the long run, but at the beginning, the next-gen car is going to cost a lot more money to purchase, and I think a lot of races, especially in the early stages for the first couple years, I think you're going to see a lot of 36 car fields, only charter cars show up at the racetrack. You might get the occasional 40, 37, 38 cars, maybe in the 40, 41 cars for Daytona, but I think this is the reason a lot of teams are entering this last year is because the next-gen car is coming. Like I said, the next-gen car is supposed to be a lot cheaper, but it's also supposed to be, at the beginning, supposed to be a lot more expensive. That's really one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot more teams entering, especially in a Daytona 500. So, anyway, that is going to be for today's NASCAR news video. We had a lot to talk about today. So, anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, notifications so you can be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Links description below for that. And support me on Patreon as well. Links description below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about college racing having Kaz Grala run their select starts in 2021? Do you think this is going to be a really great move or not? Let me know in comments below. And what are your thoughts about Tony Stewart being frustrated with NASCAR just a little bit about not having an outdoor race? Do you understand his frustration or not? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you do like us so YouTube can recommend more of these great videos out to you guys. If you do that, I would truly and greatly appreciate that. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.